All right, let's move to item 8 then first, and if somebody can let Peter know that we need him for item 7. But Ruth, you're here. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to the table.
Thanks.
And maybe you'd like to make some introductory remarks on the capital project performance report.
Good morning. Thank you. Alrighty, so you have the capital project performance report in front of you. This is data captured at the 20th of August. So at that point in time, we had a current forecast of 544 against 501 budget. So I just want to make some comments around the deliverability of that budget, as well as the current financial year plan and the forecasts, which you'll see from page 37 to page 38. So we remain focused on delivering as close as possible to that core program of 400 million that you signed off last financial year for this year, which excludes Metro Sport and Multi-Use Arena. I think at the moment we're in quite a good position to be able to do that. We have 306 projects in construction. Those projects are forecasting 344 million this financial year alone. So we are almost at the 400 million just with projects in construction. That is where we spend the majority on our projects. We have another 28 projects, which is forecasting 25 mil at the moment, that are currently in procurement. So those projects are going to start in construction once we have tendered them out. We have externally funded projects, as you know, from our shovel ready, from the Crown and also from our water reform. They, this year, sit within the 400 million cap, so our core program, and those projects have been fast-tracked this year, and we have 39 mil forecast on the shovel ready, as well as 15 million forecast on the water reform for delivery this financial year. So you can see that we are in quite a good position, I think, in order to deliver that 400 mil. Our spend to date is 36 against a forecast of 42. So we have started the financial year a little bit behind our plan, and that does mean we do need some additional effort to kind of catch up on that loss. I'll speak to the August spend first. We spent 2 million less than our August forecast. So there's two things that have to happen to get spend in our system. Firstly, the work has to be completed, and then secondly, the work has to be billed. So the work has been completed, we just haven't got the bill yet. That 2 million relates to our downstream effects. It's progressing well, and it's on track to be completed. In terms of July actuals, there is always a low spend in July because we accrue that work in June. So the spend falls on the right financial year. So July is always low. As you can see in the graph, we didn't actually achieve even the forecast in July, so it does put us slightly behind, but we are working to recover that spend. On page 39, you'll see that there's a graph that's providing visibility of our forecast for future months against budget, and there are some high future forecasts. So I just want to provide a little bit of commentary around the exceptional months. In December, we are forecasting 45 mil. We've got two major projects that are forecasting 5 million that month, our Metro Sport project and our road lighting LED project. The road lighting spend relates to materials only, so we're on track to spend that. And then Metro, which is a high component of our December, January and April forecasts, all rely on the forecasts that we get from Otakaro because they are the ones that are delivering this program of work. We are talking to Otakaro at the moment around their program to deliver because, as you know, there have been impacts relating to COVID. In terms of January, which is higher than our previous Januaries, we've got 13 million that's wound up in the Metro multi-use and Te Po Linwood Pool, which is progressing well. And we have a Otakaro Avon River corridor with a 4.5 million forecast in that month. That will need to be rephased. It will be delivered this financial year, and we are tendering for those footbridges in November this year, so the spend will be this year. April, we're forecasting 70 million that month, so quite high. 15 million of that is tied up with land purchase only. 10 million again for Metro, Te Po and Multi-Use Arena. And then we've got a majority of the rest of the forecast wound up in the shovel-ready MCR projects. So we've got 4 in construction at that point, and they see around 2 million spend per month. So in future reports to this committee, we will provide additional commentary underneath that graph that provides you with some information around what makes up those monthly forecasts. Moving to page 40, our COVID-19 cost impacts. So you'll see that the highlighted cells are the ones that have been resolved since previously reported. We have now resolved the majority of them. We just have 15 claims remaining out of the total of the 46 claims, and we will still provide you the final settled values at this committee once negotiations are complete. Page 42 to 44, you'll see the top 10 carryforwards and the top 10 bringbacks. I've spoken to deliverability of the current forecast already. It mentioned at last committee we were going to provide you an additional report in relation to external funded projects, and so you'll see that that has been provided, rather than duplicating the information in the MCR report and also the external funded. The MCR sections that are not part of shovel ready are still within that MCR report. So I'll take the watch list, the MCR and external funded project reports as read, and I'll open it up for any questions.
Thank you. So thanks for highlighting some of those areas in the report that I think perhaps otherwise would have provoked some questions. So thanks very much indeed for that. And for what once again is a very clear report that I think points out the areas that we should be having interest in very well. So that's good. So looking at the overall budget and forecast figures, what are we currently projecting? I mean, we've got a clear focus, obviously, at the moment on LTP development, and that means that we've got a strong interest in what the carry forward at the end of this financial year into year one of the new LTP would look like. What are we currently expecting that to be forecast as? What carry forward are we expecting?
At the moment, our project managers are forecasting a bring back, so to spend more this financial year than what we have budgeted. As you know, in previous years, this is how it usually happens. At the start of the financial year, we have a high bring back, and you see every single month that that decreases and ends up being a carry forward by the end of the financial year.
I guess that's the reason for my question.
That's right,
because,
exactly.
You know,
so I
looking at
understand the reason for your question.
Yeah.
So the difference is this financial year is that we have reduced our capital program to match what we have delivered in the past. We have delivered on average more than 400 million in the last 3 financial years, just over 400 million. We delivered 388 million last financial year despite COVID lockdown and not being able to complete our construction. We have some very strong project steering groups in place to review forecasts, to challenge deliverability of our projects, and I believe that we're in a good position to get as close to that 400 million this financial year as we can. So I can't put a number on a carry forward, but our goal is to achieve as close to that 400 mil, and I think we're in a good position to do that at present.
Okay. So, Dawn, you'd like to make a further comment?
If you don't mind, Chair.
Indeed.
Ever the optimist, and quite rightly so. My experience over many, many years goes, if you're doing very, very well, then you'd look at a carryover of around 10% or below. Mm-hmm. So for us, that would be 40 million.
40 million.
If we achieve that and push it further down, I will be a very happy chief exec. Any officer who says that it's zero is not a reality. No capital programme ever delivers in the nature of how you expect it to, simply because of what you're doing. So
our goal is to achieve as close to 400 mil as possible.
Yeah.
So I'm pleased to hear the answer to that question. I mean, deliverability has been a strong focus for many years, and if we can achieve the kind of numbers that we're talking about, realising that they're forecasts and we're still early in the year, we will be doing well, and we certainly will be doing better than we've done in previous years. So this is all encouraging. Looking at the delivery of the capital programme in terms of the headline number, the 400 million, all well and good, because that's the quantum that we set out to deliver. Will the projects that have been delivered within that 400 million to achieve it be the same projects that we prioritised for inclusion in the 400 million that we put forward when we approved the annual plan, or will there be a significant degree of substitution?
I think it's a fair assumption to believe that the projects that we have approved this financial year are delivered to their best ability and are progressed. As you know, there are multiple reasons for delays on projects, and so some of those projects may be delayed. At that point, obviously, with delays, budgets move out, forecasts move out, and with that, we take the opportunity to try and identify projects that are in the current backlog that may just be in plan that we can accelerate. So they are projects that have been approved, but we may not have planned to deliver them as fast as we had initially anticipated in the original annual plan.
Excellent. So really, this is about finding the balance between delivering the capital programme as originally intended,
Yes.
but when we're not able to do that for very practical reasons of deliverability, then we concentrate on delivering to quantum and really focusing on continuing a pipeline of work and keeping up momentum. I guess there's a concern in there for me that as governors we need to make sure that we've got oversight to the right degree of substitutions and changes to what we originally agreed so that we can be comfortable with that, particularly given the focus on the makeup of the capital programme to the 400 million quantum in the beginning. So, Diane, I don't know whether this is something that you might have a comment on?
I do know there is some work underway, and I agree with you. It is something we have looked at to make sure that there is visibility if there's a substitution, that it does come back to this committee.
Yeah. All right. Can I signal that this will likely be an area of focus in future meetings? And the more it can be highlighted in these reports, the better. And my understanding is that there's a briefing planned at some point in the near future to address exactly the issues that I've raised, which is great. All right. Thank you. Moving to further questions, Yanni and then Jimmy.
Yeah, thank you. Just on the Metro Sports, I feel like we don't really have enough information to understand what the risks are. Is there any more detailed information that we've got? We've just got the time status, and the comments just basically say delays due to slower progress in current construction program and COVID-19. But like, is there any issues with like the land there? Is there any more detail you can give us on what the actual time delays are and what they're based on?
So the time delays are the COVID-19 shutdown period, the lockdown period that occurred, and the lack of activity that occurred on site. The subsequent delays with structural steel and structural steel supply. They're using Merthyr Pool. The Merthyr Pools are on site. There are issues with the so when you install a Merthyr Pool, or any pool for that matter, whether it's Natari or Merthyr, Natari out of the States, to get sign-off on the installation of those, you require the people that manufacture the pools and install the pools from the States come over and give you a tick to say that you've installed it correctly. And Merthyr's no different. Merthyr are from Italy. So one of the issues they're facing at the moment is bringing those individuals into the country. They're working very hard with MB and the ministries to ensure that those people do come into the country at the right time. It's not impacting the programme yet. The issues they face, the detail of issue is around the quantum of cost, and the cost impacts from CPB, which is a contractually closed world to us at the moment, because we're a pay only and we pay on productivity and steel arriving on site. That is not known to us at the moment, but we know that we have Mark Noonan who sits across this from our unit, and Mark is, as you know, is very trustworthy with the financials, and Mark is over what they're doing at the moment and trying to get some clarity on what the next steps are. There is a delay, and that cost delay is what's under analysis at the moment. So,
is there any issue with the land?
No, not that we're aware of. No.
Right. Just the other question I had was, I guess when I'm struggling to understand on some of these, like we've got the Eastgate PT project, which you're saying is at risk because it's over budget. So it says the scheme cost estimates indicate preferred option is over budget. Is that, like for some projects we seem to get a report come back and say we need the money to deliver this project. Others we get told it gets value engineered and redesigned. I'm just trying to understand when something would come back to us for additional money to meet what we'd already approved as a council.
Lynette. think the question is relating to the public transport hub grant.
I mean, it's
So I can
both.
talk-
So
I can talk to the Linwood hub, but
Yeah.
the general question depends on the size of the change and the quantum of the change, because that's dealt with through staff delegations as we've got. I know we discussed it, but with that one, it is a. I have talked to the project manager. They are currently forecasting a potential overrun, but we don't have a tender in yet. So it's the chicken and egg situation of we don't actually know how much something's going to cost until we've got a cost in for it. So we're doing an assessment at the moment on constructability, looking at we are rerunning our estimate, so that was a scheme estimate back at scheme stage. We're running a final design estimate at the moment, so a pre-tender estimate before we go out to tender. If we are able to, if it is a small overrun and we're able to find that within staff delegations and within the wider PT program, we look to achieve that.
what's
Budget change.
so what's the reporting back to us about how that's
In
progressing?
line with,
Will we get like a memo that says we've changed design elements, or will we get an update on the budget?
the project, and this happens with any project, if it comes in under budget and we have to redesign, fundamental changes that mean that the scheme is different to what you approved or the community board approved, we will have to go back and get community board or council approval before we move that forward. And one of those options will be either to put more budget on to deliver the original scope or to not. If we can make minor tweaks in how it's constructed, or find value in the costings in the sense of combining other works, so you get a bigger tender, you actually save money, the contractors can do more for the money. Then we look to do that as well. So
'Cause I
there's
think
multiple ways that we
okay.
do it, but we are being upfront and honest and saying at the moment on the scheme that we had in, our rough order cost estimates are showing that we could be over budget.
Yeah.
We're working to try and find ways to.
And I know
Get
with
back
this
in
one,
line.
we were also doing the wastewater, weren't we, down Linwood Ave? Was it stormwater? So we had to do quite a big replacement.
Yes.
Is that, it's not obviously on the watch list, but is that something that we should connect to this project so we can see the,
That's not on the watch list.
Yeah.
That project's not on the watch list anyway.
but that
It's
would
on the
have
risk list.
timing issues. I mean, it's aligned to this project, isn't it? So, you know, it would maybe good to just have visibility of that as well. Just the final question I had was on Charlesworth Drain. Did we have, it says, so it's just on page 12, page 48, 12 of the sheet. So it says delays are due to reprioritisation as part of the 21 annual plan post-COVID. So is there been a decision by us to delay that? And again, I mean, it's a bit like the other one. Obviously, this is an issue that's been raised repeatedly with us, with deputations to council and a work program that we understand. I'm just trying to understand like how much at risk is that project and what we would need to do to actually get it done rather than have it delayed. And I don't quite understand where the decision making sits around that,
Around the
around the reprioritisation.
Yep, it's around the repairing Charlesworth Drain, not significantly improving the upstream flooding around Maces Road and Flip Out. So therefore it's moved to a lower priority to be carried out next year, to replace with sheet pile rather than timber drain. We've had some challenges around stakeholder engagement, which much of this time has been spent dealing with, as well as redesigning.
What I don't understand is it being delayed because of budget, or is it being delayed simply because of other issues in terms of the access and the design?
Yeah, it's not due to budget, it's down to issues with access and design.
All right, thank you. Jimmy.
One question. Sorry. On page 43, the major cycleway South Express section Templeton to Gilbertsource 1A, and staff mentioned $1.4 million will be carried forward. Original is $3.5 million. But I'm particularly concerned because the water road, heavy trucks, safety issue, and also intersection of Gilberthops, water road, more free street, pedestrian, and the cyclist crossing, the safety issue will be the most critical. Start all aware of this kind of situation. My view, we need to speed up the progress to build up this major cycleway, this section. And also based on the schedule, from Gilberthops to Paparua Reserve will be opening in June 2021. From Temperton to Gilberthops will be opening in March of 22. If we carry forward, I'm concerned whether this progress will be delayed, further delayed. This is my particular concern. And also, when the intersection of Gilberthops, Murphy Street, Waterloo Road, this section, pedestrian cyclist crossing safety facility will be open.
So at the last meeting, we talked about the fact that South Express is affected because and the scheduling for South Express is affected because it's a shovel-ready project, and we were going to update. I think it was Councillor Kewen's question. We were going to update the delivery dates. If you go to page 56, page 56 has the South Express delivery profile on 4, and we have simplified the number of sections of the routes that are going. So section 1 and 2 are the NZTA council funded sections, and section 3 is section 3 is the council funded ones. We are delivering slightly behind schedule to deliver and we've talked about this before, the delivery for this route is going from the city out towards Templeton. The sections out to Buchanan's Road are being delivered by November 22, and from High out to Jones Road by April of 22. So they're coming back together, if that makes sense, out the back end. So we have changed and rescheduled that.
I didn't see the section between the Templeton to the Gilberthops, between the Gilberthops to the Paparua, between the Paparua,
all part
I didn't see here.
That's all part of High to Jones Road, is my understanding. That's the whole section along that piece. So we've reshuffled the sections because they didn't make sense for delivery.
Maybe there's some more detailed information could be provided to Councillor Chen offline if that's what's needed to answer his question specifically.
Yeah, because every section you did have budget, you did a time schedule, you did an opening date.
Yes,
That's based on your previous, even in the 12th of August, the finance and the performance, the
and we've
report. But now still, I didn't see the.
And we've reset the schedule to meet the timeline for the shovel-ready projects.
But you need to
What also needs to happen is we need to reflect the new delivery plan that Lynette has agreed with the Crown in the system that we've got, so that it's consistent. So you'll actually see what projects we're actually delivering. At the moment, it's a little bit confusing in this report because the sections are named one way in the external funded report and they're named another way in the carry forward table. So we need to reflect that in the system.
Is there something that could be put together, maybe by way of an email or a really simple memo, possibly including a map that would clarify the answer to the question?
But importantly, ladies, if we have two different names for the same scheme, then please put one name down so we don't have confusion.
Done.
Okay.
Yeah, I think probably an offline conversation with Jimmy and a simple email or memo or maybe even just a map might be enough to resolve it. All right, that's great. If we do that, Jimmy, that'll solve your problem?
Not solve my problem.
It should do. I think it will.
Every time it's changing. It's my particular concern.
Let's get some clear information to you and let's see whether that's sufficient.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Chair. Thank
Pauline.
Thank you. On page 47, referring to the biogas storage upgrade at the wastewater treatment plant, I tend to bring the wastewater treatment plant up quite a bit, but it's very, very red and very risky. So I'm wondering, what is that biogas for? Is that the one that runs the plant, or is that some of the biogas that supplies this building? Noting that the Burwood landfill biogas is running out as well. So are they connected at all?
Yes and no. So this is biogas, not landfill gas. So it's the gas coming out of the digesters at the wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah.
And we've run into some design problems. So we've gone back to the drawing board. We've had a bit of a peer review of the design work that was done. We've gone back to the drawing board to integrate the design of the biogas storage facility with an overall energy plan for the plant. And that work's almost complete, and then we'll go back into the design for the biogas facility itself. So the biogas facility, if you'll recall, was it's like a massive balloon that fills up with the biogas, and then as we use it, it drops down again to enable us to store it and use it at the best time.
So we use it to run the plant itself?
We use it to run the plant, that's correct.
And so what's the risk? Is there a risk of it running out before we do these improvement works?
No, the biogas is available. The problem at the moment is that sometimes we have to flare it because we can't use it.
Oh, well, that's not very good, is it?
That's
so
true.
Do we have a timeline at all around this?
We will develop a new timeline now that we've finished the peer review of the design, and we've got an overall a sort of strategic use of biogas at the plant. We've got a new plan for that, and yeah, we can give you a new timeline for that.
But have we got any idea? Because currently it's just on hold. That could be, I mean, when will we know?
The construction is on hold because we have to now go back to the design work. So
Yep.
as soon as we know, I can get you an update from Adam.
I think it would be quite good to get a memo around that if we could, because I think it's quite important.
If we can get the information circulated, that would be excellent. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Alan.
Aaron.
Just on the biogas, sorry, Helen, are you using that to as a heater, or are you turning it to electricity?
No, we're using it directly as the energy. I mean, most of it is for drying biosolids.
Yes, so it is just used purely as heat.
Yes.
So are you flaring very often, and would it be worth putting in an exchanger to electricity and then pumping it back into the grid, or just not viable?
But the best thing to do is put in the storage facility. That's what so that we can use it on site.
Right.
And then you don't lose energy in the conversion to electricity.
Yeah, okay, cool, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So we've got a recommendation in front of us to receive the information in the Capital Project Performance, Capital Watch List, Major Cycleways and Externally Funded Projects report for this period, which I'm happy to move. Sam will second. Is there any debate? All those in favour say aye. Against? That's carried. Thank you very much indeed.